Panther Nation, what's good? Welcome back to Carolina's Armchair GM. I am your host, CJ. All right, and today's preview is not going to be live, all right, because while y'all are watching this, I'm currently with the missus at an event that she is doing and helping to set up, helping to get everything going. She doesn't know I'm going to help her just yet, but I guess she'll find out in the morning, all right? But anyway, I thank all of y'all for joining me, okay? On your way in, as always, if you haven't, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. All right. I'm still about 61 subscribers away from my first goal of 2,000 subscribers. All right. All the love and support is greatly appreciated. Okay. And speaking of love and support, shout out to all of the channel members. Okay. Front office, co GM, thank you for your support. All right. Whether you were gifted a membership or whether you re up every month, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Okay. And if you were gifted a membership, I hope that I can do enough in the future to convince you to re up that membership for another month. All right. And again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the Panthers have the Cowboys this week, the Dallas Cowboys, one of the most aggravating fan bases in all of sports. All right. My mother-in-law is a Cowboys fan. My wife's aunt is a Cowboys fan. I don't know if I have anybody on my side of the family who likes the Cowboys. My brother-in-law is a Cowboys fan. Now mind you, I'm not going to lump them in with the annoying ones, but as the fan base, they're pretty annoying. Okay, but we're going to talk about what the Panthers need to do this week in order to come out of the bank with the W. Okay. Hopefully we won't have to have any comeback victories like we did last week versus the Dolphins. But but if that's the case and the Panthers do get down and are able to come back, I'm not gonna be mad at that at all. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right. First of all, real quick shout out to everybody who has joined the fantasy league. Okay. All right. So I thank everybody. Currently, I got beat last week. Okay, I got beat by BBL Giver. I still can't get over that daggone name. All right. But let me see. House Nicholas is in first place, followed by the Pound Town Power Rangers, Low Country, then myself for the 910. All right. Panthers Dog Stompers, one of one. FPFO Dylan, BBL Giver, Famous, and Bryce is right. Okay. So check back next week and see what happened and where the standings end up. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, next we have the injury report. All right, and a couple of concerns on here. Okay. Chuba Hubbard is still out with his calf. Tershawn Wharton is still out with a toe this time. It was a hamstring at the beginning of the season. Now it's a toe. Okay. Caleb Evans is out with hamstring. Taylor Moton. Taylor Moton is going to be out this Sunday versus the Cowboys, and Yash Nyman is going to take his place. All right. I am a little concerned about that one. Okay. And I'm talking with Big Cuz earlier. He did mention one thing. He said he feels a lot better with Yash Nyman playing at right tackle instead of left tackle. But even still, going to miss Big T-Mo out there. And Big Cuz made another key point as well. Even though Taylor Moton gave up 4 pressures and a sack last week. Okay. So if Josh Nyman can go out there and, hopefully not give up a sack, but if he can match that performance or do better, I think we'll all take that, as a win for this week. But hopefully Taylor Moton can come back next week and be ready to go. Okay. So Moton, Hubbard, Evans, and Wharton are all out. Okay, Jalen Coker is a game time decision, and I am sure that the Panthers would be just ecstatic to have Jalen Coker back. Okay, a reliable target who catches everything that comes his way if it's catchable. Okay, Jalen Coker, I don't know if he dropped the pass last year that was in his vicinity. Now, mind you, passes that were overthrown, that's out of his control. But like I said, a reliable set of hands for Bryce Young, somebody that the fan base is very excited to see get back on the field. So we'll see. All right. Game time decision. Shao Smith Wade is questionable with a chest injury. Tavion Sanders is questionable with an ankle injury, and Mike Jackson is questionable with a ribs injury. Okay. But if I'm not mistaken, all of these guys did practice, full participants all week long in practice. Okay. So we'll see how that goes. It looks likely that all of them will play. All right, but we'll see once the game. But we'll see once game time comes. All right. So what to expect with this Cowboys defense? Okay. I hate to say this like this, but the Cowboys defense is not that great when you look at the numbers. Okay. In total defense, they're ranked 32nd, pass 32nd, run 22nd, scoring 29th, red zone 24th, third down 32nd. Okay. Now, this should be an opportunity for the Panthers offense to build upon a strong game last week, especially in the run game. Okay. Rico Dowdle had 206 yards by himself. I do believe the Panthers had 236 or 39 rushing yards as a team. So hopefully this is the right kind of team to play to build on that performance of last week. Okay. And also hopefully Bryce Young can go out here and not make any stupid turnovers in the first half or in the first quarter like he did last week versus the Dolphins and put us in a hole. Okay. We went a 17-0 hole last week because of two turnovers by Bryce Young. All right. The Dolphins scored two touchdowns off of those two turnovers on the next drive. Okay. So hopefully, like I said, on paper, this Dallas defense is pretty. You see, I hate to say bad, but it's pretty bad by the numbers. All right. But I don't want to say that and say that they're a trash defense. Okay. Because you never know, any given Sunday in the NFL, they might come out here and hopefully this won't be their get right game. All right. I'm hoping that these numbers continue. But again, this should be a game that this Panthers offense can continue to build off of what we did last week versus the Dolphins. Okay. Now let's take a look at the Cowboys offense. All right. Completely different story. Completely different story. The best offense in football. They are ranked number one in total offense. Passing, they are third. Run, eighth. Scoring, fourth. Red zone, ninth. Third down, ninth. Okay. Top 10 defense in every category. Every category, y'all. All right, so you see the man here on the screen. Now, this is numero uno right here. First person that we need to try and get to and stop on every play is Dak Prescott. All right. Now, can the Panthers step up again like they did last week versus the Dolphins? We held the Dolphins to 19 total yards rushing last Sunday. 19 total yards. Okay. Javonte Williams, the Panthers running back. Everybody who's a Tar Heel fan, remember him from being in Chapel Hill. He is no slouch. Okay. A great rookie year with the Broncos, a couple of injury plagued seasons thereafter. And he's on the comeback tour. Okay. He is definitely on the comeback tour. He is a good back. He can break tackles and he has a little bit of breakaway speed. Not the fastest back in the world, but you're going to have to run and chase him down if he gets out in the open field. Okay. They also have a great tight end in Jake Ferguson. Mind you, CeeDee Lamb will be out, but you still have George Pickens on the other side of the field. Another really number one wide receiver that the Dallas Cowboys have on the other side of the field. Okay. And if you are caught sleeping, okay, just like, well, I ain't gonna say Sauce Gardner was caught sleeping. George Pickens just ran by him and got a touchdown. All right. Now, one person I will say that got caught sleeping last week was Mike Jackson. Okay, on that long touchdown pass that he gave up to Jalen Waddle against the Dolphins. But the Panthers defense will have a tall task on their hands versus this Dallas offense. Okay. Like I said, this is the number one total offense in the league. They're top 10, as you see here, in just about every category. All right. And let's move on. All right, so keys to victory. Stop the run, which was definitely on display last week. Okay. And from last year has been a definite turnaround for this Panthers defense. Okay. For this Panthers defense. I was joking with somebody last week about how the Jacksonville game, really skewed our numbers as far as where we rank in rush defense. And if I'm not mistaken, the Panthers are around well, we're a top 20 team. Okay, we're a top 20 team in run defense, and we're a top 15 team in overall defense. Okay, on total defense. So big turnaround for the Panthers from last season, but another tall task coming in is this Cowboys offensive line and Javonte Williams. Okay, like I said before, Javonte Williams is not a back to be slept on. This Cowboys offensive line, they're very aggressive, they're very athletic, okay, and they get the job done. All right, so let's see what our defensive line can do to counteract their defensive line and the run game. Okay, no turnovers. All right, if Bryce Young can limit the dumb turnovers or not have any, like he did in the first quarter of last week's game, that's nothing but good news for this Panthers offense. All right. We just need him to go out there and get the ball to the open receivers when he needs to do it. All right. A lot of people are calling Bryce a game manager, and that might be the role that he fits in with this offense. Dave Canales might not be asking him to go out there and throw for 300, 350 yards that a lot of people are wanting Bryce Young to have. All I want is W, okay? And I could give a damn how we get him as long as we get the W. All right, so Bryce, go out there and do what you need to do. Don't get overzealous. Keep good footwork in the pocket and make sound decisions. Okay. Tackle, as always, we've got to tackle. And one thing that was prevalent in last week's game, there wasn't much yards after the catch, all right, except for Jalen Waddle's long touchdown. For the most part, kind of like the Atlanta game, both games we won this year, the backs and receivers from the opposing team, when they caught passes, they were pretty much tackled where they caught the pass at. Okay, but a lot of good tackling in these two games as well. All right. One thing that you see in the game, three games that we lost, a lot of bad tackling, a lot of missed tackle. Okay, so tackling. All right, make Dak Prescott uncomfortable. Okay, I would not call Dak a flat out mobile quarterback, but he's not a stone back there in the pocket. Dak can get out and run. Okay, but we've got to make him uncomfortable, but we also got to contain him to keep him from picking up these little cheap first downs that he is known to get. Okay. We have to make him uncomfortable because he does have George Pickens out there as his number one receiver. And as you've been seeing since CD Lamb has been out, George Pickens has been balling. Okay, especially last week against the Jets. And he did make Sauce Gardner look pretty foolish on that long touchdown pass. Okay, a long touchdown catch. All right. And speaking of that long touchdown catch, the last key, limit big plays. Okay. Saw the one big play that hurt us last week versus the Dolphins. Luckily, the offense was able to go right back down the field and score. Defense was able to go out there and seal the game. But we have to limit the big plays, and not just Dak Prescott to George Pickens, Dak Prescott to his other receivers. I think Tober is another one of his receivers, and what's the little dude, Turpin, if I'm not mistaken, the punt returner slash wide receiver. They are both threats in the passing game as well. Also have to limit big plays to Javonte Williams as well on the ground. Okay. So limit big plays. That's my last key to victory. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right. Enemy spotlight. Okay, I got the trio right here. Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, and George Pickens. Okay. Dak Prescott is number 2 in the league in passing yards with 1,356 passing yards. Okay. Vontae Williams is third in the NFL, 447 rushing yards. All right. So as you saw by the slide with the rankings and total offense, this offense is humming. Okay. And two of the major factors, Dak is the quarterback, Javonte Williams as the running back. Okay. But do not count out George Pickens as well. That's why I mentioned we have to limit the big plays. Have to. There have been some times when our cornerbacks and safeties have not been on the same page, and you have wide receivers getting depth in the secondary, getting past the cornerback, past the safeties. And you see what that leads to. That leads to big plays by the opposing offense. And we have to limit that with George Pickens and Dak Prescott. Okay. And also, and somebody I should have put on this slide as well, Jake Ferguson. We have also had an issue with tight ends all season this year. And I mean all season. Okay, even in last week's game versus the Dolphins, Darren Waller was just eating this Panthers defense up in the first half, finding that hole in the zone, sitting in it, sitting there waiting to get a pass. Okay. It was one play where he got behind the zone and Tua hit him down the field. All right. So tight ends are another kind of sore spot for this defense this season. So they will have to figure out a way to limit Jake Ferguson as well. Okay, but enemy spotlight here. trio of Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams, and George Pickens. All right. Now let's move on to the Panther spotlight. Okay. And on the left, I have Panthers free safety Nick Scott. Okay. Because most of the time, when there is some kind of miscommunication between Mike Jack and his safety, it's usually Nick Scott. Okay. And I'm not going to try and put all the blame on Nick Scott for everything. But like I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that when we give these big plays up, usually Nick Scott is the free safety. Okay. Well, I mean, and I say that because there's sometimes where he does come off the field, depending on what formation that they have back there. Sometimes it'll be Lathan Ransom, Shaw Smith, Wade, and Trayvon Merrick will be down in the box. I've also seen Damani Richardson back there as well. Okay. Like I said, depending on whether he's on the field or not. But the communication between, especially Mike Jack, okay, and Nick Scott is going to have to be on point in this game. So hopefully we won't give up any long passing plays or potential touchdowns to Dak Prescott and the rest of his wide receiver core. Okay, not just George Pickens. Right. I really wish in this defense that Evero would let J.C. Horn travel with George Pickens, but as we've all known and have to come to terms with, that is not going to happen. Okay, J.C. Horn is going to be on one side of the field, and Mike Jackson is going to be on the other. Okay, but hopefully the communication between them two will be spot on this Sunday at the bank. All right, and on the right side of the screen here, okay, I have our quarterback Bryce Young. Okay, this Jekyll and Hyde performance that he has every week is getting frustrating. Okay, it's really getting frustrating. And I said this on the live last week. It's crazy. You get up every day or every Sunday and you're just like, what version of Bryce Young are we going to see today? Are we going to see the one that will go out there, manage the game, make big plays when needed, and keep his team in contention and move the ball up and down the field? Or are we going to see the Bryce Young that goes out there and makes dumb mistakes as he did last week versus the Dolphins, as he has done in previous games, okay, versus the Patriots, versus the Cardinals, and versus the Jacksonville Jaguars? Okay. Now, mind you, I was going to say in the games we won, he played pretty much mistake free football, except for last week. But the one thing I will say is I am glad that he was able to get his mind right, get his head back in the game, turn this game around, and lead us to victory. Yes, and I said lead us to victory. Okay. Every possession does start with the quarterback. The Rico Dowdle did carry this offense. Let me make that clear. There's no question about that. Rico Dowdle did carry this offense, but Bryce Young did make some nice throws later on in the game to help us accomplish that goal of getting the W. Okay. So which version of Bryce Young is going to show up this week is my main concern for this game. If the mistake free or limited mistake Bryce Young, who can push the ball down the field when necessary, make throws to his receivers, okay? And just like I said, not make any stupid mistakes like the fumble last week. Just a dumb play on his part. Should have been able to hold on to the ball. All right, but if the good side of Bryce Young shows up, I definitely think we have a chance. Okay, if our defense can keep playing the way they've been playing, and Bryce can go out here and just play mistake-free football, I do think we got a great shot at winning this game. All right. Okay, so the last thing I got on here is the prediction. All right. And what I'm not going to do this week, I'm not going to give a prediction because I promise you, every time I predict the Panthers are going to win, they lose. Every time I predict that they're going to lose, they win. And I really don't want to predict that they're going to lose this game. And on the other hand, I really don't want to predict that they're going to win. Okay, what I want y'all to do, I want y'all to leave me y'all game predictions in the chat, and we'll see who was the closest to the actual score. All right. So again, I'm not gonna give my prediction this week. Leave me y'all game predictions in the chat. All right. All right, Panther Nation. This has been my preview of the Week 6 matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys. All right. Let me know in the comments how y'all feel. Don't forget to give me your score prediction as well. Okay. And again, shout out to everybody watching this video. Shout out to the members of the front office, all the subscribers. And if you have not, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Again, I'm about 61 subscribers short of my first goal of 2,000 subscribers. Okay. And All the love and support is greatly appreciated. All right. And Panther Nation, as usual, I'm going to leave y'all with three things. Number one, y'all be good. Number two, y'all be safe. And number three, as always, Panther Nation, keep pounding, man. Hopefully, I see y'all on Monday. Victory Monday. Y'all be easy.